At T-Mobile, our critical mission is providing unparalleled 5G coverage for when connectivity is mission critical. Introducing T-Priority, America's best 5G network experience for first responders, even in times of congestion. More capacity, faster speeds, better coverage. T-Priority from T-Mobile, built for tomorrow's emergencies, ready today. Discover more at t-priority.com.
For qualifying organizations on eligible rate plans, coverage not available in some areas and may be impacted by emergencies.
You're listening to the Animation Addicts Podcast, episode 169, Toy Story 3, Chocolottie.
Welcome to the Animation Addicts Podcast with the Rotoscopers, Disney, DreamWorks, Pixar, Don Bluth, and everything in between. We are your hosts. My name is Chelsea Robson with my fabulous co-host, Morgan Stradling.
Hello, hello.
Hello. Today is a very special day. We are going to be recording an episode on Toy Story 3.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
It was the end of an era, as you would say.
Totally. Well, until a few years later when they announced, we're back!
Hey, coming back with more.
More karate chop action. So yeah, this was a patron pick by Rita, one of our patrons. We're really excited to talk about this movie. We actually just on our patron-only podcast feed for the Roto Rewatch, we just did Toy Story 1. So we are definitely in a Toy Story state of mind right now. And just skipping over 2, which is definitely a travesty because it is so good and I love that. But in that Roto Rewatch, we do talk about 2 quite a bit. And so now...
Well, and we've also done it in the past.
We haven't done them on the podcast. We've done 1 and 2 on the podcast. And it's been a long break between 2 and when we finally did 3, which is today.
Here we go. So we wanted to thank Rita for wanting and picking this patron pick.
Whoop, whoop.
We also have a new patron, Jessica O. So thank you for your support. All right, should we get into this?
Let's do it.
But before we jump into that, I did want to let you know that we do have an announcement that's very important that everybody listen to at the very end of this podcast. So don't be skipping out on the end, okay? You really want to hear this.
Andy's going to college. Can you believe it?
Mom, I'm not leaving till Friday.
What are you going to do with these old toys?
Don't you get it? We're finished. Obsolete. Over the hill.
Now, come on, guys. We all knew this day was coming.
We're getting thrown away.
No one's getting thrown away.
We ain't ever getting played with.
Hold on. This is no time to be hysterical.
It's the perfect time to be hysterical.
Should we be hysterical?
Now, yes. Maybe, but not right now.
Come on. Let's see how much we're going for on eBay.
New toys!
I'm gonna get played with.
Where's my nose?
Here it is.
Here's your arm.
Give me that. That's
Honey,
mine.
the mustache?
We're busting out of here.
1, 3. 1. Whoa! To infinity and beyond.
To reset your Buzz Lightyear, insert paperclip.
Rex, use your finger.
Did you fix Buzz?
Bitácora espacial.
Sort of.
Oh, no.
Oh, yes. Return of the Astronaut.
All right, so like we mentioned before, we are going to be talking about the wonderful, great, amazing Toy Story 3. So let's do some general information before we talk about the movie. But this all comes from good old internet, Box Office Mojo, IMDb, Wikipedia, and some of our thoughts may come from things that we saw during the bonus material if we owned the Blu-ray or the digital copy. So
I did.
Well, Chelsea, see? So I'm just letting people know where they can find this great, great information. The studio is Pixar Animation Studios. The director was Lee Unkrich. The release date was June 18th, 2010. Budget, $200 million, which when we were talking about Toy Story 1 recently, the budget for that was ridiculously low. It was in the 30s. It's just crazy to see over a period of, I guess it was 15 years later, how much this just franchise and the budgets had ballooned. But that's okay because it made its budget back. It did $415 million worldwide, which is not too shabby.
Double that up. What were your first recollections of this film? Because it wasn't all that long ago, but it was still a while ago.
Yeah, we don't need to talk about how 2010 was so close yet so far. Like, I feel like 2010 was just here, and now it's 2018, and I'm like, what? That was almost a decade ago? No, I'm not okay with this. Right. No, it wasn't. But yeah, so this movie came out. I was serving a mission for my church, and I came back in July. So I remember seeing this movie in August, and this is one of the first films that I was able to see afterward. And I was really excited, obviously, because it was Toy Story. So it'd been out about 2 months at this point when I went and saw it, but it was still playing in the main theaters. The theater was still packed with people. And I definitely remember tearing up a little bit at the end, not gonna lie. It was so good. And one of the main reasons, I just gotta say, Ken. He's so amazing.
So for me, I saw it I did not see it when it came out because as Morgan was coming home from serving a mission for our church, I was leaving. I actually left on June 16th. And when you are serving a mission, you're not allowed to watch movies or media or anything like that. So like your focus is on what you're doing. And I just remember being like at somebody's house having dinner and they're just talking about, oh my gosh. And then when Pixar came out and they did Toy Story 3 and then the Paso Doble at the end. And I was like, what's going on? Stop! I was so just like, oh. And so I wasn't able to see it until, it was 2012 at least before I was able to see Toy Story 3. So it was even closer than it was.
Yeah,
Morgan.
Totally.
And everyone who sees this movie will always talk about how the ending just kills you. And it really does. Everything just like time stops from the moment Andy goes, is about to donate things. And you're just like, oh, it cuts you deep, man. And I just remember I wasn't able to watch it for a while after. I was like, I can't cry like that again.
What if there's a Simpsons joke where they like push the tear back in there?
Yes.
So this movie starts off just like the first film where we're in Andy's head and we get to see his imagination and how he plays. This is that on steroids and lots of drugs and superpowers.
Mushroom clouds.
Right, because it is full out. This scene is amazing. It's just kind of this hoist bank robber scene and everything is magnified and just, this is like, the first movie showed realistically what kids do when they play and what it really is like. But this one is what it's like in their head, even though it's not like that in reality.
Yeah, because it cuts straight to like one of the best play times that these toys are remembering, and you got Andy who his everything like the spaceship that's built like a pork the Mr. Pork Chop is like built out of cardboard and just so imaginative, so awesome. Each character has their moment of triumph and you just keep going like, man, this is an awesome like playtime. Barbie's convertible coming out, playing some hard rock metal in the background, and
we got the trolls who are the orphans.
The orphans. And then I mean, being an Arizona girl, I very much appreciated the opening in the desert and just how it's a cowboy theme and the fact that it was going back to, in the start of number 2, you start with the Buzz Lightyear opening. And so it's all space aged and everything. And so it's even, you have to cap it off with, okay, Buzz had his opening. Now it's going to be about Woody and he gets his cowboy opening. So you start out with the branding, the number 3 in there as well. It's so good.
Yeah. Yeah, and you get to see how things have shifted over the years. You know, the first movie, it was all about Buzz. Second movie's a little bit about Buzz as well, but at this point in time, Andy's grown up and he's getting ready to go to college. And so, you know, they haven't necessarily been played with a ton in recent years, but like everyone has kind of fallen into place. And there haven't really been new toys introduced because there's a certain point when you're growing up that and we see this in Toy Story 2, where the toys get replaced by makeup and dolls. In this case, not Andy. Right. He's more boy-related hobbies,
guitars
and
video
right.
games,
right?
Cell phones.
So there's a certain point where the status quo has stayed here for a while because there's no new toys to break it up. There's still birthday parties, which I'm sure causes a lot of PTSD for these guys, but luckily no new toys other than, hey, I guess we got a new video game which will replace us, but
they've already been replaced, you know?
Right.
And you just look at the cast, and they've really whittled it down to our favorite people. So you've got the main characters are still Ham, who I love. I love Mr. Porkchop. I love everything about him and all of his quips and all of his, all right, let's go see how much we're going for on eBay. You know, I just love him so much.
Dr. Evil Porkchop to you.
Right. And then you've got, what else? Oh, Rex. Everybody loves Rex. You got Slinky Dog, did they replace the voice for Slinky Dog?
I believe they did.
I mean, they had to, unless they like went back and used some of his old stuff. No, yeah, it's Blake Clark is the replacement for Slinky Dog.
It says the character Slinky Dog appeared to be in limbo after the death of the original voice actor Jim Varney in 2000, 3 months later after Toy Story 2 was released. Varney was replaced by Blake Clark. The producers realized that Clark and Barney coincidentally had been close friends since they appeared in a different film. But anyway, making the transition easier. Oh, these guys were friends, so no worries.
Oh, that's good. And then Jessie. We love Jessie.
The yodeling cowgirl. Who does not love Jessie?
Well, and also, like, she's probably the only girl toy in there, like girl representation.
Right, that's actually Andy's. Because there is Bo Peep, and Bo Peep's actually not really in this film, but even then, she was more of just a lamp. Yeah. Figure, like a porcelain lamp that happened to have, a doll on it with some sheep. But I always kind of thought that was more of the sister's lamp that just happened to be
in his room.
Be there in his room.
That's funny.
Well, and there's Mrs. Potato Head.
Well, yeah, which was a
grandma,
great addition.
So whatever.
Right. Like, not as many people dress up as her, so they've got to keep the costume department going.
It's true.
Cosplay is all about diversity here, so. But you've got Ham, Mr. and Mrs. Potato Head, Barbie is still there, and the thing is, like, aside from Slinky Dog, which his original voice had passed away, everyone else came back. And you got even Andy is still the same. Sid is still the same. All of these major voices that were in the first are still there, which is so cool because it's like it really is a family.
But like all families grow up and move on and have to go their separate ways. The family can't be just living in the same household till everyone basically dies.
Some cultures they do.
It's true. That's true. But in this one, he's going away to the old college, and mom gives him the garbage sack. You need to clean your room. Is this going in the attic or the trash?
I can understand why he used the garbage bag for the toys, though. Because in my head, I would put them in a plastic container in order to keep the dust off.
Right.
Because I have a full attic full of Beanie Babies because, someday they'll come back.
Oh, yeah. Same here.
In plastic Ziploc bags.
Cases.
I mean, someday.
Oh, man, we really got foiled. Or not foiled.
You are bamboozled, my friend.
Yes.
This episode is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Do you ever find yourself playing the budgeting game? Well, with the Name Your Price tool from Progressive, you can find options that fit your budget and potentially lower your bills. Try it at Progressive.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Price and coverage match limited by state law. Not available in all states.
They put one over us, for sure.
And yet I still have them because you know what? They were valuable at one point in time. They've got to come back. But I have
them come back.
They better.
My retirement. This is my life savings.
Well, I mean, there's that box of stuff up in your attic that you just can't get rid of. And that is, for whatever reason, you hold on to it. And it's kind of like, I mean, this is totally like there's that book out that you told me about that it's like
Marie Kondo, The Life-Changing Magic of Tidying Up. It's a great book. Everyone should read it. You are just going to want to get rid of everything in your life. And
does this spark joy?
Does this spark joy? You need to put the item in your hand and look at it. This is a very Japanese book. So, you got to feel the life force of the item. And you basically go through your whole entire house in a day. And you take everything off the closets and out of the racks and out of the bins and whatnot, and you kind of put them by category. You don't go room by room, because if you go room by room, you're going to want to just like hold on to things. So you put everything in big buckets or categories. Then you put something in your hand and you say, does this spark joy? Just like that. You have to be very soft and quiet talking to this. No. And and then if it doesn't, you put it in the pile to donate or throw away. And if it does, then it's something you should keep. And it's really funny. When you look at something and you realize, yes, my mom did give this sweater for me for my birthday, but does it spark joy because I've had it for 5 years and never worn it? Clearly not. And I don't know. I love it because it gets the emotion out of it. Like, this doesn't make me excited. This doesn't do anything for me. And so you send it on its way.
Yeah. Well, and then you also think, hey, somebody else can benefit from this in the same way that I have in the past, even though that joy isn't necessarily there now. But for whatever reason, it's still hard to let go of.
It is hard to let go of things, especially things that, previous life or interactions or time, they brought you a lot of happiness.
Yeah.
But because of changes in life, you just kind of move on.
Well, it's like, okay, looking at... This is geared toward the millennial generation. So what are we as millennials holding on to?
Well, millennials kind of have the stereotype of not having a lot of possessions, where they don't have the house and they don't have all the traditional things that the parents did, where they're just wanderers and free spirits and like they're not into their material wealth and possessions. So that's a little different than, the hoarder down the street who has 50 years worth of stuff and newspapers collecting in their attic and now overspilling into parts of their home. But I can't really think of a lot of things. Everyone's different and unique. Yeah. I do think toys are something that's very universal, and because they do hold such a very special place in a lot of our hearts, because there's so many memories attached to them, that we see a lot of people still have their childhood toys even though they're not playing with them. Like, I have a stuffed animal that's at my mom's house, and it is of a Littlefoot stuffed animal. Aww. And I just look at that, and it brings me so much happiness. I haven't brought it over to my house, but it hasn't been thrown away just because it's just a special little thing, And, my mom has a lot of my baby dresses and clothes, like really fancy ones that I used to wear. And she finally gave them to me. And it's like, well, okay, clearly these only had a shelf life of a few months before they were outgrown, but you hold on to them because the memories and the feelings when you look at them just make you so happy.
Yeah.
And it's almost as if I get rid of the physical manifestation of this, the memories with it will go away, which isn't true.
Right. That's why I need to write a book. Journal, people. Journal. But I think it's also like somebody who holds on to a security blanket. It's that something from a time that was simpler. It's that something from a time where you felt safe, where you felt, happy. And I like what you said as far as like, if you get rid of that physical manifestation, will I have that reminder that those things are still there and still possible? When there's a lot of people that, you know, they end up looking back more than they look forward.
Right.
That's where you get into your own psychological issues. 'Cause it's like, well, you might as well be dead at that point. The more you're looking back, and if you're not looking forward ever, then you got problems. But I mean, it's so easy to hold on to these. I talk as though I've ridded myself of everything. But I'm like, not at all. Au contraire. I still have lots of crap. And yet I say crap, and yet it has an emotional value to me. And that's kind of like what Andy does here. He's like, it's all junk, you know, it's my junk, but it's like, it's my junk. It's my stuff. Stay out of my room.
Totally. Call back to the Beast, episode 1.
I know.
It's my stuff.
It's my stuff, man. And then you even got like Buster to show the passage of time. Oh, poor Buster.
Right. I know. This poor little dog. He used to be so spry and happy. A puppy! And clearly is showing his age. And that's what I love about this, is that, at least for us, these films and kind of the storylines of each of the films happened at the perfect amount of time. You know, when the first one came out, Andy was about 7. You know, we were older. We were maybe about 10. But, you know, then the second one came out, and it was kind of all about, at least whatever I think of the second one, I think of When She Loved Me, that story of Jesse's owner and how that owner was transitioning from being a child to a teenager. So I see that. And that's definitely the period that I was in when I saw that movie in 1989. And then there's kind of a 10-year gap between the films, and enough where it's moving on to college. And I had definitely graduated college at this point, but still kind of could relate and felt like, oh yeah, that's definitely me. Right. And so it's just interesting that the timing and the spacing it almost matched in the real world what it was in each of the films. Right. And everybody who is among that age group feels the same way. Right. They're just like, this is us. Yes. I say this just because it's like, I remember when Lindsay Lohan was in Parent Trap, we were the same age. And so your birthday is October 11th. My birthday's September 25th, the same year. Oh my gosh, we're the same age. So these movies that happen to characters that are among that same age, where not all of them do, because there's some that just don't hit the right notes, but there's some movies out there that hit the right chords that, you know, really related to the demographic that they were shooting for. And that's exactly how I feel with a bunch of there's a couple movies out there that are like, yeah, that's me. That was right there with me. Yeah. Yeah, and he's getting ready to go to college. Yeah, and he can't get rid of these, so he puts them in the attic, you know, supposedly. I can't deal with the emotional stress of having to actually get rid of these right now, so I'm not going to do that. I'm going to go put them in the attic and just ignore it for now. Suppress that feeling. Right. Don't confront the problem. And, yeah, but that's not really what happens. They get put in the wrong place. Well, Morgan said, as said before, they were placed in the garbage bags, which were then misplaced and, you know, actually thought to be garbage. And Morgan, on our last episode of the Rotoscope of the rewatch, when we talked about Toy Story 1, she asked the question, at what point in time does a toy actually die? What is the death of a toy? Because when you take the batteries out, you can just put new batteries back in. You're back. You know, you change owners. Your life starts over again with a different owner. And in the commentary, Lee Unkrich, he made that exact point. And he said, I was going through and figuring, okay, what is the death of an actual toy? Well, that would be the dump, the incinerator. That is the real death of a toy. Fire. Mm-hmm.
And so like they set that up for you in the very beginning of like, we are going to get thrown out, which is even worse than the attic. It's the absolute worst thing that could happen because that is death. And of course, Sid is the garbage can.
The garbage man can. I'm not going to sing the whole song. If you want to see the whole garbage man can, you're going to have to become a patron to check it out. But in the Roto Rewatch, I did sing that song, which brings me so much happiness and joy.
Yeah. But this movie was so amazing at just bringing out all of the emotion of those transition years. And every transition that you go through of that giving up and letting go to move on to do something else and to have new beginnings, fresh starts, and things. It's so amazing at helping even me like go through like, okay, these Beanie Babies, they never really did bring me that much joy. I'll be honest. Okay. So the transition years. Yeah. So all the toys now, they realize they're on the street and they need to not die. So they're going to escape and jump in the Sunnyside box, which means they get donated to a new place. It'll be great. Awesome. And of course they show up and you get like, okay, the little Jack in the Box is actually the voice of Lee Unkrich.
Good times.
And he was like, yeah, I got two voices. I got the Jack in the Box at the very beginning where he says, new toys. And then there's a big baby sound or something that he does. No, he doesn't do big baby. He doesn't, one of the other random toys toward the end. I can't remember at the moment.
If I were the director, I absolutely would be putting myself in the movie. Whether it is my likeness or my voice. It's going to happen.
This episode is brought to you by Prime Video. In the small town of Holland, Michigan, nothing is ever what it seems. Behind the tulip festivals and pretty houses lay dark secrets that threaten to tear a marriage apart. Nicole Kidman stars in this darkly twisted thriller about a wife and mother whose quest to uncover her husband's secrets may get her more than she bargained for. Holland, streaming on Prime Video, March 27th.
Another suitor for the princess.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
Well, but this is when you meet Lotso Huggin Bear. I'm a hugger. No owners.
He's now become like Goofy, huh?
Yes. No owners means no heartbreak. And that phrase was really like stung me a little bit because it's like, man, like that's so easy, especially when it just goes to show those people. And I think we've all been in those situations where we have been hurt one time too many. And then we totally we don't open ourselves up again to having a real relationship with someone, and it doesn't even have to be like a romantic thing. It could be a lot of things. Like there's a lot of different ways. It's like, I was hurt by this one thing. That one dog bit me, therefore I hate dogs. And so there's like no owners means no heartbreak. And I was just like, oh, that's sad. Which goes against everything that every Toy Story is about,
Right. Well, because they're coming and they have this new way of thinking and this new way of life, which there aren't owners. And these owners, even if maybe you do have the same consistent person for day to day for a few months to a year, they eventually filter and grow out.
Right.
But there's always new ones coming in. So you're always being satisfied by having, by being played with. And that's, I can see how someone who's come from an environment where he's been totally abandoned and hurt, where he's getting that happiness in another way. It's like, I do not want to commit to one person, but with this, I'm able to still feel happy and get that. But the spectrum of happiness, I think, is much smaller in this situation where, yes, you're going to have highs and the lows are going to be not as bad. But when you have like one person that's, your everything, like your highest highs are going to be like off the charts. And same thing with the lowest lows, because you can be hurt so much. I kind of think they say when you have children, it's that way. It's like, oh, you think you know how to love. And then, it's just, here's your range. And the most you ever get to is a 10. And the lowest you get to is, -10. But then when you have kids, it's like positive 1,000 and negative 1,000. It's just like the swings and your capacity grows so much. And that's, I think, kind of applies to having one owner. That's just your one and only, right?
Yeah.
And then so when they go back to this childcare facility, it's like shrinking it down, which when you've had one, can you go back down to the other and only have this limited range of happiness? And for the most part, they like it. And all the other toys seem to like it. But they know there's something more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can I just say, like, one of my favorite characters in this whole movie is Barbie as well.
Oh, yes.
I heart Barbie. Oh my gosh.
Barbie from the second movie, it's where she has her coming out appearance, because by that point Mattel finally said, yes, please put Barbie in your movie. And then by the third one, they were, yes, please put Ken in your movie.
Right.
And so we have Barbie, who is just such a doll.
Such a doll.
No pun intended, but
no
really,
pun.
yes.
Well, it's played by the amazing Jodie Benson. How do you not love her? Her picture on IMDb is Ariel, so she owns that. And I applaud her for doing that, for making that her profile picture on IMDb. But I mean, I love how she's like to Ken, you have everything. And then he says, everything except someone to share it with. Oh! Their relationship and everything about those two together, it's like we were made for each other. Yes! Oh. It's amazing. Oh, that was my favorite part of this movie. Like, low-key part, subplot.
No, they did a really good job of introducing that, because clearly Andy's mom was not the cool mom who allowed her kids to have a Ken, which there are parents like that who say, yes, you can have Barbies, but you're not allowed to have the boy dolls because bad things happen when you have a girl and a boy doll, apparently. I had cousins who that was the thing, and so they're like, fine, we want a boy doll, so we're just going to pretend this Barbie is a boy. And off we go with our romantic adventures.
I don't even think I had a boy doll.
Oh, yeah. I had quite a few.
I know you did. I remember that one time that you had your cousins over and we just played with Barbies that night.
No.
This was like 5 years ago, guys. No, this was more like 10 years ago, but still. We were at your mom's house and like you were just like, we wanted to have a last time where we pulled out our Barbies. So you've invited your cousins or your neighbors. It was either your cousins
don't
or your
recall
neighbors.
this at all.
I totally recall this. Yeah, so you invited, it was your two, one is a blonde and one
friends.
is brunette.
Yes,
Yeah.
Sarah and Jenny. My Barbie friends.
Yeah, your Barbie friends. They came over and then we all just pulled out your Barbies and just played with them. Like, no joke, less than 10 years ago.
There's nothing wrong with that, okay?
No.
I kind of vaguely recall it now that you mention it. When you said cousins, I was super confused, but now I know who you're talking about. Yes. Yeah, I don't see anything wrong with that. Thank you very much.
But I'm just saying, like, I didn't have a Ken. So, like, the idea of having a Ken was something else. Like, man, the possibilities are endless.
Oh, yes. Yeah. And so, Barbie has never seen a Ken. Or I'm sure she knows he exists, but it seems that, this was not a thing in the Andy household. So.
Or love your leg warmers. Nice ascot.
Yes, and what they do with Ken in this movie is just so genius and great. Like, he's definitely kind of the aloof, into himself sort of guy, because that's what Ken is, in a way. And he's he's a part of this master plot, but he really doesn't, he's not aware per se of what's happening, and finally does catch on and makes the decision to do what he's going to do. But in the meantime, hey, you got a Barbie here, which I'm sure there have been lots of Barbies at that daycare. Let's just be real here. It's not the first Barbie he's seen.
But none of them are like her.
Right. The quotes are on the perfect
it's
time,
amazing.
But I remember some of the promotion that they did. Pixar always does really cute promotion leading into the release of the film, and they had these like fake Ken commercials, or like these PSAs with Ken. And go look them up on YouTube. I'll include them in the show notes, but they are just really funny and hilarious. And because for me, when I saw this movie, Ken really stole the show. I could not get enough Ken. I wanted more Ken. His scenes, like the one where they go and it's like the fashion wardrobe changes with the music. And it's just so good. They really, they did a great job in just playing up these characters and having a lot of fun with them.
Nobody cares
the fact
about
that
my
he had a
clothes.
dream house, the dream house, right? So iconic.
Oh man,
it's amazing.
Well, thing is, like, Ken did have his own dream house. There was Barbie had one and Ken had one because
got to sell that merchandise.
Got to have that every house on a block, So, it's too bad they couldn't get Midge in there, man. Missed out. So. I mean, the one thing that I noticed in this one that I don't think I noticed in other ones is when they walk into this room and everyone's like, new toys, yay! And you have the phone and he like keeps going and hitting and running into Woody, like as Lotso Huggin Bear starts coming through, and I'm just like, oh, the phone is trying to warn him.
Mm-hmm.
Started out, you could tell he's like really insistent, but Woody doesn't understand.
Please get out of here while you can.
The doors are open, run. As I said, I watched the commentaries, and Lee Unkrich and the producer of it, they were on it. And
Empower. Claire is practicing her breathing for her upcoming yoga retreat in Bali. Has she ever done yoga before? No. But Claire worked with Empower on her savings and investment strategy. She got good at money, so she can be a little bad. Empower. Invest well, live a little. Join our 19 million customers today at Empower.com.
Past performance is not indicative of future returns. Investing involves risk. You may lose money. Advisory services are provided for a fee by Empower Advisor Group, LLC, EAG, a registered investment advisor with the Securities and Exchange Commission. Om Namaste.
It really opened my eyes to how many details that they went through. So first off, when they have their little tiff at this point, they have their little fight where it's like, well, we're going to stay here. Well, no, you need to come back home with Andy. He's your human. He's your kid. You got to go back to him. And to the point where everybody's like, open your eyes. This is what happened to us. Yeah, you have it made, but the rest of us aren't as lucky. But Woody's like, no, but like, he's so mad at them for being selfish. And really that's what, as we were talking about, that when you go into it with a only looking out for yourself, that jaded mentality, no owners means no heartbreak, it's selfish. And he's just like, no, you guys got to come. And they're like, come on, Buzz. And then he's like, so you're all going to stay. And then Buzz goes out and like gives him a handshake, but Woody refuses to shake that hand. And it's like, it's so perfect because they build it up. So at the very end, when they're, heading toward the end, as it is the end of the line, Buzz once again reaches out for Woody, and Woody takes it finally. It's like the perfect chiasmus, only not.
I love it.
But I just love the craftsmanship that they used when they built this story, because it earns every laugh and it earns every tear. Mm-hmm. It's so, so good.
And even when it's revealed that Lotso is this villain and then there's this plot, even then the stakes are real and they're high and you feel it.
Yeah.
And so then it becomes this amazing prison escape movie,
right,
which you would never think from a Toy Story film, but it's kind of one of the best prison escape scenes of all time. And you're believing it, and it's not like, oh, this is just some animated movie, some cartoon. You're so invested in the characters and that they get out at this point.
Well,
it's really, really amazing.
Yeah, like they do so good at showing the side of how conniving he is and how, he smells like strawberries. And it's like, you would think that this is the one that's supposed to be the guy you can trust, but in reality, it's like, wow, you are evil. Like, and they do a really good job of showing that, and how showing his turnaround of like how he's lying to everybody else. Like, no, they left, they replaced us. No, they replaced you. No, they replaced all of us. Kind of like, if I can't have her, no one can have her. It's like, whoa, dude, you got issues. But like, he's just like, and I think like all the people who are on Lotso's side, I feel like or all the toys that are on Lotso's side, I feel like they're kind of more on his side just for safety rather than because they actually agree with what he's doing. Because, you know, Ken is just like, hey, come on, guys, this could all be cool and groovy.
Yeah, and that's what happens when sometimes people are stuck in a situation. You know, they don't necessarily, it doesn't start out that way, and they just slowly end up on the bad side of things, but then, and they don't really believe it and support it, but there's no better alternative. So I guess I have to stick here because there is safety in being on this side. And I think a lot of the followers of Lotso feel this way because he's become a dictator and he has this massive, you know, control over everybody, where if they all just talk to each other and, you know, use some agency, they could totally overthrow him, no problem. You know, there's only a few toys that seem to be really, you know, loyal, but they don't. And they're like, okay, things are okay, and this isn't the best, and we know he's bad, but it is what it is. And then off they go. Yeah.
The caterpillar room, man, that place brings me so much anxiety. They film it that way, and they've got the greatest music in there to really add the angst. But the fact that it's like so much chaos and so much just destruction and carnage, I'm just like, oh my gosh, kids.
Right. Get me out of here.
I can't take it. Woody leaves a really awesome escape route, like through the bathroom and all that type of stuff, and the kite.
Oh yeah.
Like, that was really cool.
It was really thought out, really clever, and every scene I was just looking forward to, okay, what's the next thing that they're going to do? How are they going to get out of this one? How are they going to get out of this one? And, you know, that's one of the things that Pixar does best. And this movie it's very cohesive, and it feels like it's part of the same universe, but at the same time, it has just a different vibe, and they go in a different direction with it, and they just knock it out of the park.
Yeah, they really do. F.A.O. my Swartz.
Another reference. Good thing they didn't use the old Toys R Us, because that's going to be a dated reference. I mean, as if F.A.O. Schwartz is that's not a very widespread toy store. But with Toys R Us being announced that it's going to be leaving us soon, yeah, good thing they didn't make any references to that.
Well, here we go, and we meet Bonnie and the toys in Bonnie's room.
Oh, yes.
So after Woody's bathroom escape, he is on the kite, but the kite breaks and he falls down through the tree. And the most amazing Matrix landing ever, where he just like, his string gets caught on one of the branches and he just goes down, barely not hitting the ground. It was just so great. So he's hanging there, and then Bonnie walks by and says, "Oh, a cowboy. Take you home with me."
Oh, yes. Mine.
Ooh, money, 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 money.
See, I'm wondering if you're an employee of the daycare, I don't think her mom owns it, but just kind of works there. I mean, do you get to just take home whatever toys you want? Probably not, but in this case, hey, this is sitting here. I'm going to take it. You are now mine.
Well, yeah, it was outside.
Right.
Not
inside, yeah.
So I would say it's free game.
On public property. I'm sure the intent was that was trash, so I'm going to litter. So just helping the environment, you know. So yeah, Bonnie's room is really interesting because she is even younger than Andy when we first meet him in the first movie. Mm-hmm. And her imagination is just so vibrant and different, and she's so happy, and toys are really her life. And she has this collection of toys, which it's funny that these characters are now almost mainstays of the Toy Story franchise, even though they were newly released. There's Mr. Pricklepants, Trixie, Buttercup, and Dolly. So those are kind of like the four main ones that they introduced us to. And then there's the little peas, but they don't really talk. And then there are some cameos. We have a Totoro, which is there, which is fun to see. But she has a lot of toys and she has a lot of imagination. And so, they're more like free spirits. Like, we do a lot of improv here. And, you're going to fit right in.
In the commentary, he talked about how he wanted to make sure that the dynamic between the toys in the room of Bonnie was different from the dynamic that they had at Andy's room. Because in Andy's room, it was kind of like they were all like office colleagues. Like, this is our job. This is like, come on, staff meeting, everyone. Come on. Well, in Bonnie's room, it's kind of like they're all thespians. They're all actors in a play, like waiting for their time. Like, so I think that we're either in a cafe in Paris or a coffee shop in Jersey. And I may or may not be coming home with some life-changing news. So it's just like this is a really different dynamic. And I liked that they changed it up because it's like, yeah, it's a different house. It's going to be different toys and different things. And of course, I love when they bring in Chuckles.
Oh, Chuckles.
And he tells a story about how, he was with Big Baby and with Lotso. And, he is the one that gives us the story of how it all went down.
Mm-hmm. I love it because it's kind of a very more somber, melancholy version of the story that we hear from Jessie in Toy Story 2. But it's kind of become a staple of these films that you got to tell the backstory in this way. And the backstory at that point on really opens your eyes to why Big Baby's the way he is. Is it a girl? Boy?
Doesn't really say.
But specifically why Lotso is the way he is. And so we can see that he is really jaded, and this is kind of a way that he's managed to cope. And that's why he has that philosophy of, no owners means no heartbreak. Because he's really just encapsulated himself in and does not want love in his life.
Yeah.
It's almost transactional with the kids in the daycare.
Yeah.
This episode is brought to you by Honda. Introducing the all-new, all-terrain Honda Passport Trail Sport, the most off-road capable Honda Passport Honda has ever dreamt up. The Passport features increased ground clearance, roof rails on all trims, and available specially developed all-terrain tires. And you'll stay comfortable with tri-zone climate control and available features like heated and ventilated front seats and a panoramic moonroof. Learn more at honda.com/passport.
Well, and also you look at, in Toy Story 2, Emily grew, quote unquote, grew out of Jessie. But in this one, the child didn't grow out of Lotso. She just lost Lotso. And the parents, trying to get her to not cry anymore, bought her a new one.
Right.
And so he's like, we were replaced. Which in the commentary, he also made the comment of like his story is pretty similar to what Woody's would have been if that would have happened. Like if they could have replaced Woody, if he came home and saw that he had been replaced, what would he have done? And Lotso just happened to make the decision of go the negative route. But you think about how jarring that would be too. It's like, you just replaced me like easily because I'm one of a million Buzz Lightyears. Just get a new one, Like, whoa.
Yeah, right.
That's harsh. No, that's way harsh. But and what was really cool about how, Bonnie found Mr. Chuckles because he was broken and brought him home. And so Mr. Chuckles is in the corner, like always crying. But he has been saving this little heart-shaped doodad that says Daisy on it for all of these years. And had Woody not spent time at Bonnie's house, he wouldn't have gotten that little bit to be able to make the full ending with Big Baby come around and get a reaction out of Big Baby. Yeah. Which is like nice.
Oh, I know. It's very good payoff at the end.
Yeah.
Where we see all these characters who kind of been in these chains where because that dictator is gone, that they're able to just open up and be themselves. And this character named Chuckles, who his whole point is he's supposed to be like this happy clown. Not like this scary, sad, depressing one. So I'm glad to see him return to life.
Me too. I like that when they've gone in and they've reorganized, they've put Buzz onto demo mode, which is different than his factory mode. Demo mode is a lot more angst and a lot darker, it seems. And they wanted to do that. Like, they wanted to make that demo mode being different from factory buzz mode. Mm-hmm. And so it's just like, there's so many of these horror movies that come with, like, when the doll like a doll, which should be warm, cuddly, and friendly, turns to be the worst thing ever. Demonic and killer. But Buzz, he's not a demonic killer at all. He's just a little darker than his normal self. So I like that they did that because they've already used that gag.
Yeah, but the
before.
funny thing is with the Spanish mode, Buzz is one of the original Buzzes. You know what I mean? So I just have a hard time believing that, like, the very first Model 1, they had a bilingual Buzz.
How do we know?
Maybe future ones I could see where they would expand his capabilities, but I don't know. Apparently, they saw the dual market and they captured that for their V1 release of Buzz. But yeah, Spanish mode is so different because it doesn't even change. It's not just how he talks. It's everything about his essence and how he moves and how he talks to Jessie, and he's much more suave and he has these dance moves. And the old Buzz, I guess you don't really realize it. You think, I never thought anything was wrong with Buzz, but then you see it and he's very just like kind of cut and dry compared to Spanish Buzz.
Spanish Florecito. And that's where we get the humor. But what's really interesting and funny is that I was talking to a friend of mine. She's from Brazil, but she was living here, and she was like, yeah, you know that part in Toy Story where he turns to Spanish? Everybody in the theater laughed except for me. I didn't see the humor. I was like, is this I don't know, is this just an American thing? Do we just is it just because Americans are more, we are more cut and dry than other cultures? Because like in Brazil and Latin American countries, and specifically Spain in this case is what they were going for Spanish Buzz, like, they're a lot more passionate about a lot of things. So what is, I think it just is funny because it is so different it's like if one of us would be, just change your entire essence based on a language, like what the, you are completely different now.
Yeah. It's kind of funny you say that, like she couldn't see the humor in it. But supposedly we're the ones that are so cut and dry, but we see the humor in that where it's supposed to be this fun and hilarious scene. She's like,
it's like one of the most hilarious scenes.
Right.
I don't get it. Why is everybody laughing? He's just going into Spanish. Okay.
Right. Yeah.
Which awesome. I just thought was amazing.
Okay, so here we are, and this is one of the highlights of the entire film, which is this prison break scene. And it's awesome because you have these Toy Story movies, and they're very cohesive in the story that they tell, but they each one's different and unique. But with this, what I think is so cool is that it's like a movie within a movie, because prison break scenes are very famous, and this is considered to be one of the best just because it's so funny and it's so creative and it's just very suspenseful, and it's not just quick and short. I mean, it takes a decent amount of time to get all these characters to break out. And I just absolutely love this scene. Like, you just watch this scene and have a smile on your face and how awesome it is.
The monkey. You gotta get rid of the monkey.
Yes.
Well, and then you go in and you talk about like tortilla head as opposed to Mr. Potato Head. I had a question about this. So it's like he can move his self, his soul, basically follows which exact pieces of this? That's my question.
Right, because it's clearly not the body. Or maybe it still is the body, the actual potato. You would think the potato is the essence.
Right.
But no, apparently not. Apparently, if the pieces are somewhat in the proximity of something else, then that takes over the essence of that something else. In this case, a tortilla.
He's like a soul snatcher. But I was thinking, like, at what, like, where is his little I am? Like, where is the essence?
Is it the mouth? Or the ears? The feet?
I mean, these are the questions. Like, I don't know. In this world of Mr. Potato Head, does the eye because the eye with Mrs. Potato Head, it still works, but she refers to it as my eye. So it's not a singular thing of I am. It's my eye, my piece. But it's like her, I don't know. I'm thinking too much into this, I know, but that is what I got out of it. And so he went from a tortilla to a zucchini to, you wouldn't believe the night I had tonight.
Right.
Well, the prison break was so well crafted. I really appreciated it. But to no avail, Lotso Huggin Bear cuts him off at the turn.
Mm-hmm. That darn bear. You know, what they keep mentioning, like, oh, he smells like strawberries. I'm like, how old is this guy? How many times has he been played with? Does he really still reek of dirty hands strawberries? I don't know.
That is odd. Maybe he just like
I bet he doesn't smell
himself.
that great.
Maybe he refreshes
Maybe there's
himself.
like a pack that you can replace the scent in, you know, it's kind of like an air freshener.
Right.
No, that's a toy. You know, some of these kids' rooms are pretty stinky and smelly. So if you just make one of their favorite toys an air freshener, haha, we got you.
There you go.
That's a tangent totally unrelated to the fact that, you know, he stops them, but he does.
Still.
And smelling great, or maybe not so great. We don't have smell-o-vision yet, so we can't tell.
I used to have this little toy, a little doll who smelled like chocolate. And I have no idea what toy line she was from, but I loved that toy because she, even years later, she still smelled like chocolate. And I never figured out how. Like, at what point in time does this scent wear off? So I don't know. Maybe it was from the same line.
Uh-huh.
But she was plastic and not a stuffed animal, so I don't know.
Chocolate smelling doll. Guys, if you know what this chocolate doll was, send Chelsea a message because she really wants to know. So, yes, you know, they don't make the prison break. It's unfortunate. But this is when the followers say enough is enough, and Big Baby comes and grabs him and throws him away.
They realize what a crazed lunatic he is.
The Darth Vader moment where I'm not going to do this anymore. I'm going to overthrow the master.
Yeah. I'm sure that's what they were thinking too.
Oh, I'm sure. Yes, that's very reminiscent of Star Wars. But then, you know, you think, oh, okay, great, that's the end. It is not the end, because here comes rolling up the garbage truck. And unfortunately, they get carried away in the garbage can and then off to the dump. And very quickly, I mean, this is a very efficient dump. They don't just dump things and let it sit there for a while. It's like, nope, we got to get rid of this. We're burning all of our trash. Thank you very much. And this is actually a very frightening scene because so Lotso's still there, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Lotso is there. They get in the tunnel thing, and they catch on to all of the metal that gets shot up to the top.
Yes.
And so, but Lotso, he needs help. He's stuck under something. He's like, please, someone help me. And Woody, being the awesome guy that he is, drops down and gets down there to help him. And then he and Buzz and Lotso all tie on to it was a golf club, which are you really throwing away? I guess.
Yeah, you are.
Throw away golf clubs.
Like this club from the 70s that my dad still thinks is amazing and gave to me. No, thanks. I'd rather use a golf club that was manufactured with the latest technology. Thank you very much. Okay, bye.
Right. So these are in, like, the whole case and all. But anyway, so they grab onto the golf club and they get shot up to the top to go over the scrapper, I guess I'll call it. And that one, then they drop down and they're like, oh, hey, everybody. But then they realize, oh, look, it's the sunshine. Nope, that's not the sun. I loved how you are rooting for Lotso to go up and push that ending, you know, the emergency stop button. Everybody helps him to do it. And he's like, just push the button. Well, have a good time, sheriff guy, and just like leaves them to die. Like, man, Lotso is evil. But I mean, that moment when everybody is in there just kind of like banding together, and in the commentary he was like, you know, it's kind of like when if people were on a plane that's about to go down, what do? You just hold hands and face it with dignity, you know? And that's what they did. And they were going to face it together as a family. And that's just, it was so good. But even better is the Deus Ex Machina moment. The claw. So Deus Ex Machina is a term of storytelling. Basically, it means it's like a lesser and lazy form of story writing where it means like the hand of God comes in and picks them up, like basically takes them out of whatever danger that they're in, even though there was absolutely no way of getting out of it. And normally that would bother me, but it didn't at all because it was the aliens using the claw, which made total sense to me, you know?
Yes.
They'd built that up over 3 movies. And they even reminded you of that, like at the beginning when they first get to Sunnyside, they have like there's this little dump truck thing with a claw come down, and so the aliens say that again, that claw, you know.
Right.
And at first you think that it's just like making a fun of their origins, right? Harkening back to number 1, but then they're actually building up to the end, like reminding you that this is what the aliens do. And I just thought that was genius, like how they pulled off a Deus Ex Machina with class.
Yes.
It's great.
Awesome. Overall, this movie is just awesome.
It is. And I mean, after all of this, they finally get back home because they see Sid there. Oh, he's going to go back to our neighborhood.
Yes.
So he does, and he goes back, and like it is Sid that brings them home. That's kind of poetic. And then they go back, and this is the moment that everybody remembers about this movie because it is so heart-wrenching and so universally applicable that everyone, I mean, it is amazing. Like I said, they earned every laugh, they earned every tear.
Right. So he's, I can't even talk about it because it's just so sad. No, but you know, he sees, hey, you know, these toys could bring a lot of joy to someone else. And, you know, packs them up and then brings them over to Bonnie because they have that connection. She's not a total random stranger. Like, it's very clear throughout the movie that their parents know each other and they're familiar with each other. And so sees Bonnie in the front yard and says, hey, I have something for you. And, you know, she's like, oh, my cowboy doll. He's like, what?
That's mine. No. Excuse me, don't touch my stuff.
Right. And I totally can see, like, when you're giving something up, how you kind of have that moment of regret. Like, maybe I don't want to do this. No, maybe I actually want to keep this. You know what I mean? And so he kind of has that where it's like, no, that's the one I was going to keep. And part of me is almost like, I understand you want to get rid of everything, but like, that was supposedly the story is that was his dad's cowboy. Don't know if it's actually true.
The theories.
Yes. You know, but anyway, either way, out of all the toys, that was the most important one to him of all time. And so part of me is like, you don't even want to keep it for your kids?
Yeah.
You know, and so I do feel a little sad for that, but, you know, then you break up the gang and that's not as rewarding, I guess. But
well, here's the thing. This sounds kind of bad, but my oldest sister is 13 years older than me, and she has 6 kids now. And when she was first like getting married and having kids, like I thought I was so like giving, and I gave some of my like favorite things to her for her kids. And even today, there's times when I'm like, I kind of like that back. I'm like, huh. Because there's these moments of like, I still have that like memory tied to that. I'm like, now the kids are like kind of out of that phase. I wouldn't mind keeping it.
Right. It's just like my Pocahontas dolls that I mentioned in the last episode. Yeah. I felt so bad that I had gotten rid of those and I wanted to keep them that I like went and found them on eBay and bought like replacements, and they weren't the exact same ones, but it's like, no, well, these are mine. They represent what I had.
It's my Cherry Mary Muffin doll.
Which I'm positive someone is going to send Chelsea in the next little bit. Or I might just buy one for you, Chelsea, if that's really what you want in your life.
I'm okay. It's okay.
Save your dollars.
But, I mean, I totally see why Andy is reluctant to get rid of his favorite cowboy.
Right. I would be too.
And especially with, like, the fact that Woody has been so loyal. He is the most loyal of all of them. And granted, it was because he was his favorite toy since kindergarten. But even through the Buzz age, you know, there was a time where he still went back to good old Woody. He's the fave. And Woody is reciprocative. Reciprocated? He reciprocates.
Yes.
So it makes that moment even more of a tear of like, oh my gosh, I'm getting rid of this. This thing is ending. And it hurts.
It's the end of an era. It's sad. It's hard.
Yeah.
But he takes it, I mean, both of them sort of take it like a champ. You know, Andy goes on his way, and then, you know, likewise, Woody and the crew, and so long, partner. I mean, that's some of the most iconic lines in any Pixar film.
Yeah. There's
so much attached to that. So much emotion. And this is the moment where everyone is bawling in the theaters.
Yeah. And he's like, even then, like, he takes that moment to move on, but he also embraces it and says, hey guys, oh Buzz, you haven't met the new toys. You know, these are Bonnie's friends. This is this person, this is this person, and you know, they're starting fresh and doing cool things. And then the end credits, that Paso Doble scene. Well, I like how they go back and they show that, you know, Sunnyvale, dang it. Sunnyside they really come to be cool and groovy over there. And they're like tag teaming with the Caterpillar room. Everybody's taking turns of, okay guys, your turn, go.
Yeah, it's like a totally different vibe, and things have changed, and it's so much better and happier, and everyone's having a great time and a great life. Man, those dictators, man, you got to get rid of them.
Seriously.
They bring no joy, no happiness.
This does not spark joy.
Get rid of this dictator. Done.
But, I mean, it just does so well. And I think that was why everyone was so upset when they, like, dual-sided of, like, emotionally upset when they decided to do number 4.
Totally. I mean, they just announced, like, another on Pixar's page, you know, hey, come in. You know, there was this Post-it notes that in the shape of a 4. And the majority of the comments are just not feeling it. And they say, what is this? Who asked for this? You ended it perfectly. We don't need this. We don't want this. You know, and but we're all going to still see it.
I know. We all are. Of course we are. Because, I mean, the 3s, the Toy Story 1, 2, and 3 were mostly focused around Woody. I mean, really, they're focused around the community of toys, and they had their, like, subplots going on, but it's really Woody is the main guy. And so I think maybe for 4, do they switch it up and go with, like, follow Bo Peep? Where did she go? I don't know. What happened to Bo?
Hopefully we find out, or maybe not. Maybe it's too gruesome.
No.
She was made of porcelain, you know. Like,
it's true.
That falling off the nightstand could have happened and ended horribly for her.
And then they just didn't tell Woody or Buzz exactly what happened.
He can't see her body. He can't see her like this.
Oh, man.
Gruesome, man. All right. So I guess we'll find out Toy Story 4, what it has in store. It comes out in 2019, so about a year from now, we will finally get to see what all the hullabaloo is about. But until then, we're signing off on this episode with Toy Story 3 and this series, which is actually kind of interesting. So, I'm jumping that too quickly. I need to rate it.
What would I rate this? I mean,
The PC gave us computing power at home, the internet connected us, and mobile let us do it pretty much anywhere. Now generative AI lets us communicate with technology in our own language using our own senses. But figuring it all out when you're living through it is a totally different story. Welcome to Leading the Shift, a new podcast from Microsoft Azure. I'm your host, Susan Ettlinger. In each episode, leaders will share what they're learning to help you navigate all this change with confidence. Please join us. Listen and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts.
I give this one a perfect 5 stars. There's nothing wrong with this. It's crafted so amazingly well, and I feel it. Like this time, I've watched the first time through with commentary, and even with commentary, not listening to the dialogue, just looking at the faces and having somebody else talk about the movie and like about what was going on, I totally teared up and I was totally crying because it had like subtitles on the bottom too because you're kind of reading it. Anyway, point is, I still cried, and that's just amazing. Great story writing and just execution.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, likewise, I give this 5 stars. I give every one of these movies in the franchise, 1, 2, and 3, 5 stars, just because I feel they're all so good and so perfect and yet so different. And I feel like each one is almost better than the other. But then I go back and watch the original one or the second one, and there's just so many great, amazing things about each one. But 3, what I love is that it just takes it in a different direction. It's both dark and incredibly emotional, and it just builds on this world and these characters while introducing new characters, and they feel like they're just part of the gang. You have Ken, and you have Bonnie's toys, and you have Lotso, and it's not forced. It's just very natural progression of these stories and these characters and their stories, which I think is cool. So yeah, I mean, Toy Story does it again. Not Toy Story. Pixar does it again, and not surprised. And it's funny because we have so much hope that 4 will be good. You know, I want 4 to be amazing. I want it to be a 5-star film. I want it to be, 99% on Rotten Tomatoes, just like all the other ones, basically. And they're very, very high up there as far as being critically acclaimed. But I just feel like Disney, the parent company, just is very, very, very sequel happy right now with every single property that it owns, whether it's Marvel or Star Wars, or even it's trickling into Disney animation. And of course, we've seen it with Pixar, that there's a lot of fatigue there that I worry for 4. But I'm not here to talk about 4. I'm talking about 3, and it's a perfect, perfect movie. Ken for life.
Ken for life.
Hi, Rotoscopers. This is Amy. I'm really looking forward to your Toy Story 3 podcast. This movie really brought out the feels for me since I was a kid when the original Toy Story came out, and I was in college for Toy Story 3. I always have to hold back the tears when Andy is having his last playtime with Bonnie, and it made me wish I had given some of my old toys a better farewell. I love that this movie also brings in humor, with things like the tortilla and Buzz's Spanish mode, and the use of the claw was so clever. I thought the plot was great, and I find it difficult to find a flaw in this movie, so I give it 5 out of 5 stars. It's so rare nowadays that the third movie in a franchise would be as fantastic as Toy Story 3 was, but this movie really delivered. Anyway, keep up the great work, Rotoscopers. I really enjoyed listening to your podcast. Thank you. Bye.
Quiet, musical hog. Knock it off. Hello, this is Alex calling in to give my review of Toy Story 3. I love all 3 Toy Story films, but that wasn't always the case. When I first saw Toy Story 3, I merely liked it and thought that it was inferior to the first 2 films. However, after having watched this film 15 plus times, I can now say that it is on the same level, if not even higher, than the first 2 films. One thing that I love about the story in this film is that it takes a darker turn when compared to the first 2 Toy Stories. I think that Lotso Huggin Bear is one of the best Pixar villains, and I think that the trash incinerator scene is the most emotional scene in any Pixar film. The voice acting is excellent as usual. The animation is absolutely mind-blowing, even for today's standards. And the new characters are just as enjoyable as the returning ones. Overall, I give this film 5 out of 5 stars and think that it ranks among Pixar's best. Bye!
Thank you to Alex and Amy for those voicemails. Yeah, you guys are just part of the club. We all loved it. Well, guys, we have finished. This was episode 169 of the Animation Addicts podcast. It's a lot of episodes, Morgan.
That's a lot of episodes.
We didn't really do a 6-year anniversary episode.
6 years are such a hard year to celebrate. It's not one of the big milestones like 1, 5, 10. It's just,
right.
6.
Yeah. But here we are. We've been through a lot. We've had a lot of movies, a lot of guests, a lot of things go on. Some amazing opportunities that we've gotten over those last 6 years. I mean, so many friends.
Mm-hmm.
Like all the patrons that we've been able to get to know over the last several years, and just great people. And I got to tour different animation facilities here and there, and
right.
It's just lots of great things. So I wanted to say thank you to you for having the idea and really making it happen in the beginning all the way up to now. So thank you.
Anytime. Of course.
Anytime.
Of course we were going to start an animation podcast. Chelsea, my animation super friend, had to be there. And one of the things that Chelsea and I have been talking about recently, it's actually kind of interesting that we're doing this movie Toy Story 3. And it wasn't necessarily planned, but with this movie, there's a lot of concepts about moving on and kind of going a new way and accepting that and being okay with change. And that kind of reflects how Chelsea and I feel right now about the podcasts. Like, we love the podcast, and like Chelsea said, all these amazing opportunities and people we've met and things we've been able to talk about, new films we've been able to discover, and all the just so many incredible opportunities have come from the podcast and Rotoscopers. But we feel that it's kind of time for a new chapter, that podcast, needs to rest a little bit, needs some time. So,
the thing is, we both have really amazing things coming up, and not to say that the podcast is any less of a treasure in our lives, but it's just right now we've just got a couple things that are kind of taking up most of our time. For example, Morgan's about to have baby number 2. And, with work and everything that's in her life. And then with me, I'm actually right now putting together a Indiegogo campaign to be able to finish off some albums that I've got coming on. And I'm just doing a lot of really cool things that I haven't done yet. And so I'm excited for different chapters in my life and different things that are coming around for me as well. I guess what we kind of decided when we were talking is just how we needed to take some time to just kind of really give those opportunities in our lives the time that they deserve.
Mm-hmm.
And that's really where what it comes down to. And just how when Mason left last year, he had to give that time to finishing up different goals in his life. And we are so happy for the different things that he's accomplished over this last year. And just, we've decided we're all still going to be around. For example, for the patrons, all of the patron group, so on the Facebook group, the patron group is still going to be there. We're not going to be charging the patrons right now, but we're still going to keep it there so that, later on, if we do decide to come back, then we'll be able to have a way to keep in touch with people. We're also putting together a mailing list for everybody who wants to be involved if there's something else going on in our individual lives. So it'll basically be a check-in with, what's going on with Morgan and Chelsea and even Mason too. Like we'll just the brief updates of our lives. Cause I mean, we have been here for 6 years and we've celebrated some pretty amazing things. I've moved across the country twice and Morgan got married and has kids and Mason got married and is off doing his thing. And so like we have a lot of things. And I feel like during that time we've created a bond, even though we may not know all of you, we feel like you're part of our friend circle as well, because that's really what we started this out to be. We wanted to be that group of friends that you sit around and you can talk to about just things that you love and nerd out when you want to. And that's really how we see our relationship with you, and we'd like to keep those relationships. We definitely don't want you to feel like we have we're leaving and never coming back. We're just kind of taking our time to
taking a break.
Yeah. So
I know for me, I feel, sometimes when you can step away from something, then when you come back, you can be that much more invigorated and excited. And I feel that's really what Chelsea and I each need, especially since we do have so many other projects and things in our lives that we're kind of being pulled in a variety of directions. And so sometimes the best thing you can do is really focus on just one thing or a few things. And I feel that's what we need to do right now. And the podcast, it needs to, take a little breather, take a break to allow those other things to flourish.
Yeah.
So
we want to make sure that these relationships aren't lost, because you guys have been so great with us and for us and to us.
And also one thing, the website is still staying up. So rotoscopers.com is going to be business as usual with news stories and reviews and interviews. So we still have a thriving team of writers and contributors who help with that. The podcast is one facet of the Rotoscopers, and that's just being on hold for now. But these other that are around are still going. And I think the website being one of the biggest ones, because, the website actually has provided a lot of opportunities for different people. We know a lot of our writers have gotten job opportunities, some in the industry, some not, just by being able to help out and volunteer. And, I really think that's something special that we've been able to provide and want to keep that going. And I know the Rotoscopers is a place where people go for their animation news and their discussion, and friends like you sort of where they can have that community. So that's still going to be around. So don't worry about that. And then we do have the YouTube channel. Haven't really been as active on the YouTube channel. Again, when you have so many different things going, eventually you kind of have to focus on just one or two. And recently YouTube hasn't necessarily been as big of a focus, but it's still there and still, open for when Chelsea and I want to post videos, we can.
On YouTube, I'm still going to be doing random reviews because I really like going to see free movies.
Right. You're still pressed. You got to hold on to that.
I get to hold on to that one, so I'm still going to do that one. I get to play the awesome aunt and bring in all of my nieces and nephews that really want to see random movies that I'm like, sure, I'll win those awesome aunt points. And so there's just movies you want to see, and like Morgan said, all of these, the podcast will still be up. You will still be able to listen to all of the episodes. We're also going to be, as we mentioned, for an incentive, we're going to be posting a couple of the Roto Rewatch episodes on our mailing list as well. So if you were not a patron, but you would still like to listen to a couple of those episodes, you still want to extend the Rotoscopers jam a little longer, make sure to check in with that, because we'll have a couple of those coming.
Yeah, if you go to rotoscopers.com/newsletter, that's where you can sign up there for that.
Mm-hmm. So this in and of itself is not our last episode, because we thought that it would be really bad of us to just kind of yep, see you guys. But instead, this is kind of telling you guys that our next episode will be a voicemail listening party. So if you feel like you would like to relive a moment with us that you had with, some favorite moments of the podcast that you'd like to share, make sure to do that. We would love to hear from you. And this will be one of those really cherished episodes for us to know that we played a little part in your life as much as you guys have played a part in ours. So if you want to do that, you can go to rotoscopers.com/voicemails, or you can also use our phone number, which is 406-646-6575. So please, we would love to hear from you. And that's what next episode is going to be, is just listening to you guys and rehashing some fun times. So, yay.
Woohoo!
All right. So, until next time, we are the Rotoscopers. I don't know. Do you want to say anything else?
No. It was just a funny, until next.
Well, because I was about to cough as well.
Okay, bye. It sounds like you're almost choking up. It was really funny.
Yeah, it's sad. It's emotional.
It is sad.
Until next time, guys. We are the Rotoscopers.
Hay un amigo en mí.
The end? Question mark?
Okay.
And 2 weeks later, MuggleCast is back. Hey, what's up, guys?
Hey, guess what? So they decided to make a huge announcement. We're back.
Right?
Will they be worth something?
If anything, right now, it's like, ugh, I have these because of the hope that one day they'll be worth something, along with all the other millions of people who happen to have these quote, collectibles. I feel the same way. We have Beanie Baby collection, and I'm just like, Mom and Dad, please, just like, get rid of it, like, donate it, and they can't, because they're like, this was we spent so much time looking for these. We found these. And I'm like, but that's a sunk cost. It's in the past.
Sunk cost.
This should not go into your decision going forward. All the time, money, and investment is just move on. It's like, I'd like to use this bathroom closet. Thank you. But it's stuffed with Beanie Babies.
See, the funny thing is I was thinking, like, maybe we should, like, go online and just sell our Beanie Babies, Morgan. Just these are Rotoscoper original Beanie Babies.
You can go on eBay, and, they're on there. Trust me, they're still there.
I don't doubt it.
They're not making very much. There are some, like, the super rare ones that actually, surprisingly, I'm like, really? Like, are you just posting it for that much? Wishful thinking? Or are people legit still buying Beanie Babies for a couple hundred, if not thousands of dollars? I remember the old dark blue peanut.
Are you just taking the list price from that book that you got? The collector's album?
We had this Beanie Baby book that had, like, all the Gen 1 and Gen 2 not Pokemon. We had a book about those too, but Beanie Babies and how much it was worth in $1998, and then like projected, I think it was 10 years later, it was like 2008 value. Oh my gosh, my siblings and I did an Instagram story or Snapchat about it one time, and we were going through, and it was like, oh, sick, it's going to be worth $300 in 10 years. And if you go and look those up on eBay, it's like, definitely not. Definitely
$5.
Right.
It's
like this dark blue peanut. I don't know if these ones are real or authentic. Maybe this one is $825. At the time, I believe the dark blue peanut was like thousands of dollars. And this is $825 or best offer. Free shipping.
$825.
But then there's someone else who claims to have one. And it's a Beanie Buddy. Stupid. Beanie Buddies are basically,
those are not the same.
No, they're oversized because they're like, okay, what can we do to branch off with this? Okay, let's just do even bigger. But
I mean, these will all go in the bloopers. So, but I have a question about that. Like, at what point in time did the marketing on that whole thing was just amazing.
Oh, they
like,
got
how
us
did we
sinker.
Get so bamboozled?
Right, and then there was even the McDonald's ones that people would go out. I remember going with my mom and my aunts and cousins, and we'd heard that a certain McDonald's had, this particular one. So we'd go out there and get it, and I'm just
buy like 12 different Happy Meals. Can I just?
Now
we're throwing away all of this food.
Totally. Yeah, it's, oh gosh, good times.
Good times. Oh, man.
Yeah, the dark blue peanut's going up for about, $825. But then every once in a while you get one that's posted for, $25. Rare, authentic. Like
just to lower the other one.
Sure. Suddenly you're going for $25. This is so annoying now. It's like you can't even do like an impression of someone with a different accent without being like, oh, that's racist. Like,
what if I do your accent? I'll be Morganist.
Right.
Do you have an accent? Maybe they say I do your accent all the time because we sound alike. That probably wasn't funny, was it? Oh man. She had dark curly hair,
and it wasn't like a Barbie.
No, it was only about maybe 4 inches tall, and dark curly hair, and it had like these streamer type things in her hair.
I have a picture. Is it Cherry Mary Muffin Dolls?
Maybe.
I'm sending you a link.
We will figure this out.
To the Google. Okay, chat. I mean, this kind of matches the picture. She has curly hair. She has some sort of weird other thing in her hair. It's brown. Says this. I had this one. She was scented like chocolate. It looks to be about 4 inches. I remember those muffins. Yes.
Yes, that was her. Oh, that was totally her.
Guys, if you want to send Chelsea a birthday present, find her a Cherry Mary Muffin Girl, the chocolate scented one. I remember that pan of muffins. I don't remember these dolls, but I remember somebody I know had this like muffin and would use it for the Barbies.
Yeah, we did. I remember all of those accessories, and I remember having that little like I don't even know what that is. Like it's a cup with a thing. I don't know, but I don't even know what that is. But I remember having it, and okay, it's a smoothie cup thing. But
I don't know.
Man, I remember her, and the dress would come off. And so it's like it became a little bathing suit. But yeah, you see how her bangs have like these like streamer type. They're not streamers. They're like I don't know what they were, but it was like
some extra pieces of hair that's more sparkly.
Yeah, there's sparkles and things. It was man.
So
wow.
here's some other flavors of the Cherry Mary Muffin. There's grape scented. Greta Grape is her name. There's cherry scented. Cherry Mary Muffin, of course, the blonde. Can't go. And there's Betty Berry, who I'm assuming smells like berries. And then chocolate scented Chocolottie was her name.
I had Chocolottie.
Chocolottie. I think that's our title.
Awesome.
Good times. Look this up real quick.
Only if it still smells like chocolate.
Cherry Berry Muffin. Chocolottie. I mean, you could get the whole lot for $6 and $4 shipping. Or, hold on, I'm finding this.
I'm
chocolate
really
okay. Chocolottie. Oh, that looks like a ghetto one. I'm not into that one. Yours had sparkle in the hair. These ones don't have sparkle. There's different versions. But you basically, for a grand total of about $5 to $10, Chelsea, you can have your childhood back. This one's even in the original packaging for $250. $28 shipping. Calling bull on that. That thing is about 4 inches. Okay, you don't need $28 shipping. But anyway, that's up to you, Chelsea. If you really would like it back,
I'm okay.
You know where to find it. eBay is your friend.
I know where to find it. Thank you. Mm-hmm. Thank you for finding it and helping me with that mystery of what that doll was.
Okay. We were recording that, right?
Yeah, the whole thing is recorded. Shall I push stop now?
Yes.